that it is a Monday, and it's a little bit past 7, and I believe, Tom, we are up here in Illinois. Down here in Florida, still a pandemic going on?
Yeah, there is a pandemic still happening down here.
There is still that. So we'll get the expert on the phone right now, as we always do. Dr. Norem from Mercy Health likes to join us on Mondays to give us the latest update of what's going on, and he's with us right now. Dr. Norem, good morning. How you doing?
Good morning to you guys.
And Tom down in Florida. So if you have any Florida-specific directions, you can give that to Tom. So it's been 2 weeks since we've last talked, Dr. Norem. What's the biggest news developments in the last 2 weeks that you'd like to get us caught up on?
Well, just before I get to that, I am in Arizona now, and ironically, the weather in Illinois is about the same as ours.
Okay, well, glad you got away from it.
Yes, just in time. Well, I think the biggest development is the recommendations on the booster. For the Pfizer booster, I have not gotten mine yet, but I am eligible as I'm over 65, unfortunately. I think that's probably what has really caught everybody on the news. I think the fact that the CDC director added the frontline workers to the recommendation from the FDA advisory panel.
So as of right now, frontline workers and people over 65 approved to get a booster shot of who got approved? Not all three of our main vaccines got approved, right?
Just the Pfizer. As you remember, the Pfizer got the initial approval for the vaccine, so they're a little bit ahead of the game in terms of getting their data in. And in addition, our patients who are highly immune suppressed, cancer patients on immune therapy were also approved. But I think there was a little bit of controversy there that the CDC director added that recommendation for frontline workers. I think it was probably a good thing. Frontline workers are going to be exposed. That includes, medical workers, people that are high risk of exposure, and not just medical workers, but people in grocery stores or essentially people in any line of business that's exposed to a lot of interaction with the public.
Dr. Norem, this is Tom. Quick question on the booster for the average person. I'm asking for myself as well. Can you clear up the booster? We understand it's another shot for those that have been vaccinated. I understand it's only the Pfizer right now, but what is the booster? Is it just more of the same for those that have already gotten the 2 shots of the Pfizer? Is it just more of the same, or is there something different in the booster to continue to safeguard people? What does the booster contain?
Good question. To clear that up, it is the same shot, the same dose that we who got Pfizer previously obtained in the first 2 shots in the initial immunization. So there is no difference at this point in time.
We have been I have heard stories or reports that the thought of maybe combining this year's flu shot in with the booster shot. If somebody is looking to do that, should they hold off on the booster? Is there any pluses or negatives of having them at the same time or getting them at separate dates?
At this point in time, the recommendation is you can get them at the same time, so there's no reason to hold off. We are approaching October. This is usually the time I recommend people really consider getting their flu shot. So if you're eligible for the booster and the flu shot's available, get both of them.
And when they talk about, including the flu shot in with a booster, is there different chemistry behind it, or is it as simple as them pouring 2 doses into one syringe?
I'm not sure if there's a different way of combining those. I believe it's not more complicated than putting them in the same syringe, but I am not completely sure about that, so I hesitate to make a recommendation. I know people would like to save having to be stabbed twice. Currently, that's the way we would do it, one in one arm and one in the other. But I think there is good movement towards trying to combine those so it is one shot.
Would they do one in one arm and one in the other just to for comfort of the patient, or is that a medical procedure? You don't want those streams to be crossed.
Well, you typically don't want to poke the same area twice, just because it does cause some inflammation and potentially some irritation. So typically we like to spread them out. I mean, if push comes to shove, you can always get it in the rear end, too, if you're not wanting to get it in the arm. So it's just a matter of, I think, convention and not wanting to irritate the same area with two different vaccines.
So if you are over 65, or if you're a frontline worker and you are interested in getting one of these boosters from Pfizer, I'm not expecting you to know how the whole country is operating, but at Mercy Health, is that opened up to the general public already?
Not that I'm aware of. I've been watching for the emails from our system. Generally, what we've done is vaccinate the frontline workers first before it's available to the public. At this point in time, it's frankly probably easier to get it from your pharmacy, to be honest. But I think shortly it will be available through the system and through your doctor's office. But obviously, if people are concerned, they should check with their physician.
Dr. Norem, with regards to the boosters now and going forward, you know, with these variants that we've all heard of, the Delta and other ones and whatnot, it's confusing to the average person, I think, to me, is, you know, with regards to the vaccinations, boosters, and going forward, are the chemistry of any of these things going to possibly be changing to account for the variants to protect people further from that as this thing continues to evolve, or is that still sort of to be determined?
I think down the road. It's just not clear when. I know the companies, both Pfizer and Moderna, that make the mRNA vaccines have discussed, but not lately, about the fact that they're working on variations in their vaccine. I think it depends on how well the vaccines hold up against the variants. Currently, those initial vaccines are in production, and I think we are still in the process of trying to get everybody vaccinated. And so far, it looks like the vaccines are holding up very well, especially the Moderna. There's some evidence out there that the Moderna has held up in terms of its immunity better than the Pfizer vaccine, which is interesting and may be based on the fact that the concentration of messenger RNA in the Moderna vaccine is a little over 3 times that in the Pfizer vaccine. So it kind of remains to be seen if we're going to need to modify the vaccines. I think clearly down the road we will, but currently in the present situation we're dealing with, we still see, good protection with the current vaccines.
So you make a good point there about Moderna showing to be maybe the leader out of the gate here. So if I'm a Johnson & Johnson vaccine guy. Should I wait until Johnson & Johnson gets a booster approved? Would you recommend that I get a different booster, as soon as Pfizer's available, or Moderna, or if you had Pfizer, should you wait and have until one of these others get approved for your boosters? Is mixing the right thing to do? As maybe all the studies aren't done yet on this, but just your inclination, what would you say? Mixing is good, or it doesn't really matter?
I think mixing is possibly going to be good, but the data's not there yet. Right now, the recommendation is to get the same booster as the initial vaccine. So I would not recommend anybody go out and get a different vaccine at this point in time. But there is a lot of interest in seeing whether that might improve immunity. And again, I'm back to that point that I just made, that the immunity still is good, is excellent actually with the current vaccines. So the thought is there's no reason to switch, and we simply need more data before you can make that recommendation that you should get a vaccine from a different company that would potentially improve your immunity.
Well, while we're waiting for boosters and everybody get that updated, how let's talk about our current situation that's going on in hospitals locally and around the country. We see some reports of we're running out of ICU beds again. Hospitals filling up. How are we doing here locally compared to other hospital organizations around the country?
Well, it looks like we're doing pretty well in Winnebago County. You can see that the case curve has flattened out. It's starting on a downtrend for the last couple of weeks. Illinois overall is also consistent with those numbers. Hospitalizations are down slightly. I think deaths are still a little bit flat, up sometimes. But remember, death rates, unfortunately, trail behind hospitalizations by a couple weeks. I believe Florida, things have calmed down a little bit there. I see here in Arizona, we're doing a little bit better too, with hospitalizations down slightly. There's still some hot spots. I think up in the Idaho, Wyoming area, they're struggling. It's a rural area. They don't have a lot of ICU beds to begin with. They had low vaccination rates. So overall, across the country, I think we're doing better, and it looks like we're maybe on the downside again. Unfortunately, we're left with, is this mean that we're over this wave, and when will we get hit with the next wave, if there's going to be a next wave? And that's something we just don't know.
So yeah, Doc, it felt like we were pointing in the right direction for quite a while, and maybe almost out of the woods, and then the Delta variant hit, and we kind of regressed a little bit. And as you said, it seems to be pointing in the right direction. If another variant comes out, I think I saw the Mu variant being talked about earlier. If another variant comes around similar to the Delta, will we be better prepared for it, or will we see the same kind of regression in COVID recovery that we saw over the last 6 weeks or so?
I think if we see another variant that's as aggressive as the Delta variant, we'll see a bump, but I don't think it'll be quite as bad. And the reason I'll say that is simply because more and more people have been exposed, more people have gotten infected, and we've vaccinated more people. So as we move down the road as a population, we do have better protection. So unless the variant coming down the road is significantly more aggressive in terms of deadly, I think it's unlikely that we're going to see the kind of blips that we saw with the Delta variant. And go back to the same old song as people need to get vaccinated. I just can't emphasize that enough.
And then I'll ask one more question based on your answer there. You said when this next variant comes down the line. Was that a turn of phrase from you, or do you pretty much expect and others that another variant will disrupt us before the year is over?
We're going to see, I think, many more variants, but I don't know, and nobody really knows, whether they'll be as significant as the Delta variant. We may see several more variants as we go through the next year or so, but I think only time will tell. I don't think anybody knows. These predictions I see of, the pandemic is on the downside, it's going to be over in a few months, and we heard that several months ago before Delta hit us, and I think until we get 6 months down the road, we just don't know.
All right. Well, Dr. Norem, thanks again for joining us. Before we let you go, did we not hit anything you definitely wanted to share or get our listeners to know about?
No, I think we hit the main issue, which is the booster. And again, people get vaccinated.
Go out, get vaccinated. You heard it, not here first, but you heard it here at least for the last time. So, Dr. Norem, thanks for joining us. Enjoy your time out in Arizona, and you join us again next week?
Absolutely, guys.
Sounds good. Thanks a lot to Dr. Norem from Mercy Health.